Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. Very special one indeed. Andrew just touched down in LAX in LA, the city of angels, the city of dreams, the city of palm trees and porn stars. This is one of the rare ones we do apart. You're drinking, is that morning tea?
Yeah, it's 10 a.m.
Okay, so 10 a.m. over there. Here it's 5:30. So it's dark outside. With you, you're just starting your day. Me, I've finished.
I'm kicking off.
Let me tell you, it's not a good day. You're in store for a bad day, my boy. I'm 6 hours ahead. 8 hours, am I? Is it 8?
I think it's 7 now that the clocks went back.
7 hours. Yeah, you're not going to have a good day, my guy. It's not going to go well.
Any tips?
I think it's about mental toughness to get through this one.
Right. But can you not just tell me what's going to happen?
No, I can't, because then...
Is that cheating?
That is cheating. There's the rules of time. You know the rules of time.
I do know the rules of time.
You cannot spill the beans on the rules of time.
No, that's true.
No, there's no one in the house at the moment, which makes me...
you're by yourself, aren't you? Everyone's gone for like a week.
Yeah, so I and whenever no one's in the house, I feel like I act more erratically. Do you find that?
Yeah, I always talk to myself a lot more when no one's here.
Does your talking to yourself manifest?
It can be anything. It's a lot of the time when I'm in the middle of completing a job, and I'll be talking myself through that job. Like if I'm making a sandwich, I will verbalize.
Oh, that's the job.
Getting the mustard. Or get the mustard. Cheese.
What? It's like an old lady.
Yeah, a little bit actually.
Get the mustard.
Or and it's always, a lot of the time it's in voices.
No.
I won't really talk to myself in my voice. It would be some broad character.
Oh, so like entertaining yourself almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like, things will be through song as well quite a lot.
Sure.
You can make like the sandwich song.
Yeah. How does that one go?
How you got the bread, and now you spread your mustard on the bread. Now it's time for the cheese and the ham and the bread on top. Then you cut it.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I speak to other people, sort of. Well, I sort of just have like conversations with people.
Was that shade? Did you just throw some shade at me?
No, that wasn't shade.
I actually talk to other people.
No, I think, but it's normally like, I don't know, situations where I'm like imagining, or I like if I met someone, what I'd be saying to them, you know.
That's a lot weirder, actually.
Yeah, you fucking. Well, I'll tell you fucking what. Well, you're gonna you fucking. Yeah.
So who are you imagining speaking?
But
to?
It's not full conversations. It's in my head,
right.
And then occasionally bits will come out where I'll be like, yeah, and that's why. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But not loudly, just you fucking and it's a lot of. I'm getting a lot of payback. I'm getting a lot of payback. It's a lot. When I'm talking to myself, it's a lot of revenge.
Right.
Because you with your low IQ are singing about making sandwiches. Me being an alpha male.
Sure. You're plotting your next move.
I'm plotting my next move. I'm preparing myself for meeting my enemies, almost like an autistic supervillain, you know.
So, but what are you responding to? So after
I'll tell you fucking what you fucking.
Right. So it's more just mumbling.
It's a lot of mumbling. Well, that's the way that it's gonna, you know, if you want to do that, that's what's gonna happen. If you know,
that's the way it's gonna go down.
I'm sorry.
You're goddamn right.
The problem is I don't always come off well, even in my own fantasies. That's embarrassing.
Right. Well,
because we all have fantasies where we nail it, but when you can't even, when you're starting to, well, actually, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, actually, yeah, no, I shouldn't think that. No, I see where you're coming from. Actually, yeah.
I learn a lot. That's why I'm. Is
this true?
No. Well, no, it's not
Yeah.
It is, but I can't think of any. I can't think of any examples, mainly because I guess I'd assumed I'd never be called upon for it.
Yeah, it's a very personal time being by yourself in a house when no one's there.
Wow. Clip it. Clip it.
Clip it. That's where the money is. Fuck me.
So how is LA?
Yeah.
How's LA? La La Land.
Good, I'm quite hungover.
Yes.
Went to the store yesterday. Let me tell you about this plane journey.
Yes. I've been teased
So
the whole time.
It's just great. It was a nice
How long
time.
you been stateside?
Well, I was like 5-6 days.
Okay.
When did I leave? I left on. No, I've nearly been here for a week actually. Yeah, which is 6 days. Yeah, 6 days, and I'm here till Sunday. So for 4 more days.
You do the math,
5 days.
bitch.
Please, someone else do the math. The flight was at like 1 p.m, so it wasn't too early.
Yeah.
It was a nice time for a flight. I was having a great time. I quietly love doing long haul solo travels. There's something about it.
No, I feel that. Because
it's like a time for class. I was like sat reading a book.
It is, but yeah, I do think if you get to the stage where you're flying, if the Patreon picks up and we're flying business class, there's nothing better.
Laughing.
There's just nothing better because your work, it's meaningful because you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
You can make it important, and then you're floating in a bed in the sky, being treated.
Floating in a bed in the sky, yeah.
No, I mean plane journeys can fucking suck, but
no, of course they can. But I'm more talking about the first bit of getting to the airport. It's being in the departures lounge.
Well, you're 007, aren't you?
You really are, yeah. And well, then there's something classy about being by yourself with
Drinking
like a
8 a.m.
Screaming
at Koreans as they walk past.
Exactly.
I don't know why
to any race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Seems really specific.
Yeah. Is that one of your enemies that you've been practicing on?
Well, then you fucking... Oh, yeah, you got good skincare, sure. But let me tell you something. Huh?
Let me tell you something about your country.
You fucking... You know those guys... Basically, you know when you see a crackhead walking down the street, that specific brand of when they're like... They're having that argument with someone and they're punching the air. That's me in my room. Well, you fucking, I'll fucking show you. You fucking.
Yeah, they are. They're rehearsing for something, which I guess is exactly what you're doing. But so there's something about the airport which I find classy. You're sitting there, you're reading, you got a book. There's something I always like to feel a bit mysterious because the solo traveler, you don't know whether it's for pleasure or work.
And with this, you have a book hiding your erections, so they can't find out whether it's a business or
pleasure. So they don't know it's my sex tourism. It's not because I can hide my erection.
It's like, he's so mysterious. They can't see if he's got an erection or not.
Oh yeah, he has got one. Yeah. So there's that, and I think I had 3 beers in the departure lounge because I was suitably early.
What time is
enjoying
this?
the vibe. Like 11.
11. And are you reading and drinking? Is that what's going on?
That's exactly what's going on.
And was it like getting blazed while getting cut while reading?
Well, fucking great actually.
Yeah.
I was also chopping down a Big Daddy breakfast with it because there wasn't a spoons in the departure lounge. It was just you had to basically go to like a restaurant. So I got myself some bacon.
You earned it. You've earned it.
No cap. And then that was all
or
good.
Eggs.
I had no eggs.
I was a bit too slow on
mine.
that.
Yeah,
so I was trying to work out in my head.
Well, you know I don't like eggs, so I got more mushrooms instead. So everything was going quids up.
Yeah.
Team Andrew, everything was going well. And then so I had 3 beers. I had a decent buzz on. Was loving life.
Mm-hmm.
I got into the plane. One of the air hostesses recognised me, so I thought this is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna get wined and dined. She was business class, though, so I didn't see her again.
Well, that's what we want. We don't want these economy class.
We don't
air
want
hostesses.
economy.
We don't. As I said, we're not trying to get many followers. We want the classiest followers. We want business class air hostess. You know,
the creme de la creme.
What did she say when she recognised you? What was it?
She was actually kind of weird. It was kind of weird because she looked at the...
Because is it unprofessional to recognise...
Yeah, it was a
celeb.
Unprofessional.
Recognising a celeb on a plane. On your way to LA, think about how many celebs are going from London to LA You can't
Yeah.
have a hostess recognizing.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't know
No, I
this
agree.
doesn't happen very often.
Well,
She probably does.
She does, yeah. But it was when we were handing, like when you hand your boarding pass in, and I don't really know. I think it's just the final confirmation that you are allowed to be on this plane. And then they kind of showed you a seat, but I passed it to her, and she kind of looked and she just went, G. I was like, that was just my seat number. I was like, yeah.
G?
And she kind of went, G. I was like, what? Yeah. And then I recognise you from Instagram. I was like, okay. Cool.
G! Sorry,
G?
I recognise you.
Yeah, and I think she then realised, and then she went, oh God, sorry. I think she had a real fuck up, actually.
Yeah.
Because it was unprofessional, but it was fun. So
That's
I
like
then
a
go
dentist
down.
recognising it when they're about to take a molar out.
Yeah.
It's just like, teeth! What? Sorry.
I've seen your sketches. Can you just take my tooth out, please? So that was all good. Then having a nice buzz on, and walked down, and I'd pre-selected the seat, and I was very happy about my seat because it was in the middle row, but on the outside of the middle row. The reason why that's the best place to get a seat is it's an 11-hour flight. People go and be pissing. I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 times.
Fuck.
It's a long flight, 11 hours. People go and be using that bathroom.
That lab.
So that lab, that WC. So I'm like, I don't want to be. The question is, it's obviously you don't sit in the middle because no one's insane enough to choose that.
Yeah.
The question is, do you sit on the window and have to annoy someone to go out to the toilet, or do you sit on the aisle and be the one who's annoyed? Yeah. I always choose the aisle because I prefer to have free reign to the bathroom. That's me.
And that's not priority numero uno.
Numero uno, plain tips. Have an easy bathroom exit.
Because there's also, like, the window is a small pleasure. It's nice, but it doesn't negate the window, the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true.
My sister was stuck on a flight with someone who she got put in the window seat, and then there was a guy who was severely physically disabled, like this old guy, so he couldn't move. They had to like force him. So whenever she had to go to the toilet, she would have to sort of straddle him like a stripper.
Right. That's
terrible.
My worst nightmare.
Awful. Also, Also on long journeys, when people are asleep, what happens if you're just asleep? And you need to piss?
You have to. I've had to wake people up.
Yeah. Or you just try and you wake them up. They wake up midway while you're straddling them. I just need to loo. Sorry.
Yeah. But that's the worst thing because you got to wake them up, and then you got to wake them up, and then. But then when you come back, you also have to wake him up again, or like it's
Well, you'd hope they haven't gone back. I guess
You never know.
You never know.
So that was I'd got that seat. So in the middle row, there's three, but then there's two exits. So it means that you'll always be able to go to the toilet. The person on the other end
emergency
can always
exits.
Go to the toilet, and then the middle person can go either way.
Yeah.
It's depending on who's got the best, who's ready to receive the exit the most. So that was great. Got there, and the plane was basically empty, which is fucking brilliant. So I had a row to myself. There was no one there. We're laughing. Quid's in. I've had 3 beers. It's going well.
There's not a lot of people going stateside at the minute.
No. So jump on a plane, guys. It's empty. So then we took off.
Yeah.
I was having a whale at the time. Took off, and then genuinely having a lovely time. Yeah. And then I downloaded like 4 films.
There's a lot of hope, I feel. There's a lot of hope.
There was so much. Well, there wasn't. It was almost like, this is it. Any concern you'll have on a flight is just null and void because I've got my entertainment. I've got a row to myself.
You're feeling you've got a bit of
I've been recognised. Yeah. I've got a massive buzz on.
You've got a giant erection.
A giant, huge. But you can cover it with those little tables there. But there is a hole often for the drinks that it can stick through. That's plain tip number 2. But so that's going great. I'm feeling good and like fun. So there was a man sitting who is going to become very pivotal to this story.
Yeah.
There is a man who is sitting adjacent to me, in the aisle seat, in like not in the middle bit on the side, with an elderly lady, and he then says, "Oh, do you, after the seatbelt signs have gone off, do you mind if I sit here, as in on the edge?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, obviously." And that might have been a massive mistake.
Wait.
I don't know.
When you say yeah, of course, obviously, was
Yeah.
that to do you mind or whether he
No,
can?
as in yeah, yes, yeah.
Sorry.
Of course you can sit there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I sit there? Yeah, of
Well,
course.
obviously I might. Little bitch. So,
of course. And he goes, "Thank you. Of course, I mind."
yeah.
So what, he's describing again? Sorry, is he an old geezer?
Well, I'll get into that because I know a lot about him now.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind this is an 11-hour flight, okay? I'm having a great time. He comes over, cool. He then settles in, sits down. I would judge him as about, at this point, probably about 50, 55 in that area. Mixed race. His race was very confusing, actually, which we'll get to.
What do you think I said?
I don't know. What did you say?
I said fat fella, question mark, and you went,
I thought you said black fella.
Christ. I'd hope you'd react more stranger. I don't like how casual, as if that's
well, you can call someone.
Yeah, but it's a bit weird that I'm like, black fella.
The fella. Black fella? Yeah, true. I'm just too into this story.
Sorry.
Black fella? No, he wasn't overweight. He was quite well trimmed, actually.
Okay.
But he was 55. He then sits down. We take off. After we've taken off, we're in the air.
Yeah.
He gets comfy. And then he says, "What's your name?" And then that then led to the rest of the flight. We then ended up talking for about 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Just us two. The problem is like I was really up for it when he first came, and we were having a riot. Okay, he told me that when you order whiskey or any drinks on a plane, just ask for 2 and they'll give it to you, which is true. So we were then banging back whiskeys together. He also had a bottle. He bought a bottle of whiskey in duty free, and you're not allowed to open it until you get to your destination. That didn't stop Floyd, because he opened it on. His name was Floyd.
British.
He opened it on. Well, so he had an Australian accent, but he was English, American, and Portuguese.
Sure.
It was very odd.
That's what I thought.
It was very odd. So then we just got
smashed,
fucked together. And what was weird is because he was just taking his mum back to LA and then basically coming straight back to England.
So chaperoning. Where's his mum?
His mum is on the side, still there, and well, the weird thing about this was that I realised I was speaking to that man. So this is just the first 3 hours of the flight for 3 hours, just us two. Having a riot, we were. I did love him. He was a great man. But his mum was just staring at us for the whole time because she was really old and she was like laying up against the window and just kind of staring at me and Floyd. And then I kind of occasionally catch her eye and be like, "Hi," because I didn't really know how to address it. But so then what I realized is that I was then getting very drunk at this point.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't actually want to be this drunk.
This is too drunk.
This is too drunk. Well, it's been like 6 hours of drinking almost and then me and Floyd are just going blow to blow on conversation.
Yeah.
And then I realised this is an 11-hour flight.
You're going to be hungover on the plane. You're going to meet Eloise for the first time.
And I'm going to be completely hungover. But Floyd just kept going. And I just realised that we were so locked in that I now had guilt if I wanted to go and watch something by myself or just like stop. So we just kept drinking. And then we ended up sharing my AirPods and watching the start of Apocalypse Now together. And it was getting a bit too intimate. Oh, it's far too intimate. Like he told me some dark truths about his family during this 3-hour conversation. His mum was right there, but it was fine. It wasn't about her. But then, so
So,
we're watching Apocalypse Now together, and
yeah.
I can't hear it properly because
You got one headphone
it's
in,
I've got one headphone
and then
in,
you
and it
got
was
the
just like,
noise of the plane.
and the 55-year-old breathing next to me. And then, because we were kind of like leaning into each other so we could watch it in the middle. And then it gets a bit fuzzy because I don't know exactly. We watched some of
So
it, but
you're
then kind of
slammed
stopped.
listening to half hearing Apocalypse Now, while being very
Yeah,
close to a man you've just met, a 55-year-old man. Very intimate.
exactly. And we were both fucked. And then something happened. I can't even remember what happened, but I managed to stop watching Apocalypse Now with Floyd. And then I was like, I am so drunk. I had to go throw up in the toilet. I threw
Oh
up in
my
the airplane
god,
toilet
Drew.
because of how much whiskey we'd had with Floyd.
Drew.
It wasn't. That's the thing. Because as soon as I was having, it was going to be perfect. It was going to be absolutely
Drew,
perfect. This flight.
I feel I feel a lot of stories, they do start with you feeling like there's
This is going
hope
to
in
be
the
the
world.
best ever.
This is
Yeah,
as soon as you think something's going to go well, you end up face full in the toilet vomiting.
it's true.
It's because
It's,
you get on a good vibe, and then your response to being on a good vibe is how much alcohol can I drink?
or how good can the vibe try and maintain, and then end up ruining it completely.
If you're having a good time, you will end up in the toilet for sure.
I need to show you some of the messages I sent to Elle of just like how much I found the best guy. Of like Floyd's great. And the thing is, I'm still torn on whether Floyd is great. There's more to this story, by the way. It's not done
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah.
We'll summarize Floyd after. So I threw up in the toilet, and then Floyd had said that he can't sleep on planes. He just can't do it, which was a terrifying prospect because I was like, that's 11 hours of Floyd. Like I can't really sleep on planes either.
He
And
wanted a
I just
slumber
kind of,
party. He wanted to
well,
stay up all night,
he did
talking,
drinking
telling
whiskey. Oh my
stories,
God. In fairness, he wasn't because when
midnight
I was
snacks.
like, after I threw up, I was like, Floyd, I am absolutely fucked at the moment. And he was like, he wasn't like this lad. He was a nice guy because I'd said like I'd had 3 beers before we got on it. He was like, Jesus Christ. That didn't stop him going. And then managed to I kind of pretended to sleep after I threw up naturally. I was like, we need to rejig things here. Just had loads of water and try to resettle everything.
Did you tell Floyd you threw up?
I didn't tell Floyd I threw up.
You
No,
don't want
I
to.
think
You
that
just met
I
him.
don't need. Floyd doesn't need that.
He doesn't need that on his mind. He's got his mum there. He's clearly got
He's got a tough enough life
Yeah.
anyway, to be honest. So I then I was just like, what? I continued Apocalypse Now solo, and then like 20 minutes into this, I then get a tap on my shoulder, and it's Floyd, who from the other, in my aisle, just the other direction. And he's like, oh, and he's been chatting with the air hostesses at the back.
He can't sleep, the poor lad. You
The
weren't
guy can't.
chatting to him. He's got to find someone
I
else to speak
wasn't.
to.
And then he was like, and this is the moment where I was like, I started to reevaluate my feelings on Floyd at
Sure.
this point. He then tapped me on the shoulder and was like, oh, it's one of the air hostesses' birthdays and it's their first flight. Come and sing happy birthday to her with me. I went, all right. And then I walked to the back. I walked back, and it's him and this other older man who was clearly another solo traveller. Annoyingly, I was trying to couple them up. I was like, I think you two should be together.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a back seat now.
Yeah.
And I got there, and it became readily apparent that we weren't going to sing happy birthday. No one was started this happy birthday thing. And
so
then
you're sitting there furious. You got the party.
well,
hat,
I'm
and you're like,
I'm standing at the back. I was like, isn't it someone's birthday or something? So then I honestly, at that point, I just left. I was probably there for about 3 minutes, and I was like, Floyd isn't going to sing happy birthday.
What's Floyd doing? Is he just chatting away like nothing?
He's chatting away.
Did he introduce you? Like, this guy, you'll love this guy. Come, like, check.
Kind of, yeah. And it was like, oh, your friend's here. It's about me. I was like, I suppose we are. And then I left that conversation. I was like, nothing's happening. So I went back.
A house party. It doesn't sound like a flight at all.
It really was. And then so then I went back and then kept watching. This is where we exchanged phone numbers because we were gonna meet up in LA, and that kept that was an early prospect, which then kept declining,
Did you tell
kept
him about
kind
the
of going
pod?
down. I told him he could be listening. If he is, hi Floyd. It was a great flight. Um, so because I did tell him, because then the next time I then managed to watch a bit of Apocalypse Now and kind of chill for a bit. And then he came back again. He'd been at the air hostesses with the air hostesses for a while, which I don't think they were that happy about. But he was like,
It's her
"Oh, so
first flight.
yeah." And so he was like, "Oh, we're actually going to sing it on the tannoy, and like get on the thing." And he said, because I told him about the podcast and stuff. He said, "Oh, this guy does comedy. He can do a bit at the start, and then we'll sing Happy Birthday." And to that, I said, "Fuck yeah, let's do it for the video." I was the dream. It was so annoying with it. So it didn't happen because
Oh.
Floyd. I think Floyd just contrived it out of nowhere. But at that moment I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's
He
do
seems to
this."
have
Because
he seems to do a lot of these lying. It seems to be there's a lot of things that aren't materializing when Floyd says they're going to happen.
yeah, he flies a lot. But yeah, so it didn't happen, and it turned out that then an announcement came on, and one of the other air hostesses said "Happy Birthday." I was like, that's probably more professional. I think that's the better way to do it than two drunk men. So that
Happy
didn't happen.
birthday to...
And then so we exchanged numbers. We were going to meet up. He said that he knows a place, and he said that the air hostesses were game, and him, and the air hostesses would go and hit the town. I realised later on he was still banging drank, and he then asked for another whiskey. And no, he then came and sat down. And he was like, "Oh, we bled them dry of this whiskey." And it was at that moment I was like, I think they've stopped serving him because I don't think they've run out of whiskey. And then he kind of asked again. He was like, "Yeah, there's none left." I was like, "Yeah, they're not serving you anymore."
Floyd.
So that was at the moment I was like, I think I need to distance myself from Floyd a bit because
Before
this could go
the story
wrong.
comes out, you know.
Yeah,
You don't want
or
another food wastegate.
Yeah, and just like friend of drunk maniac Andrew Kerwin. You've got to be careful. And then for the end of it, I was like, I kind of put my headphones in and just listened to music on the way down. We had a goodbye. We had a nice chat. But then the last thing was then whilst that was happening, Floyd whips out this bag of nuts, and then I had there was like a middle table. We had all the tables down. I had my laptop on my table, and he just looked at me and then just poured out these nuts. And the last thing I wanted was nuts, but he just poured them straight onto the table. I was like, well, I've got to eat these nuts, and just out of politeness, I just ate them really quickly because I just didn't want them. And then he took that as a sign that I was loving the nuts. so then he poured out a massive pile of nuts on the steak, and I went like, "No, I'm good." He went, "No, no worries, no worries." I was like, "I don't want these nuts." So then I had to get through these fucking nuts, and I arrived at LAX with the driest lips I've ever had because of all the salt from the nuts. And that was it, really. We didn't meet in LA.
Well, you still got, how long was he out there for? He's probably gone back home now.
Well, he was only out there for a few days because
Yeah.
he's coming back. He was just dropping his fucking mum off, who was there for the whole of this time.
Didn't seem to say a word.
No, she was very old, but yeah, she didn't. I don't know. Yeah. But then also, Floyd slept for like 2 hours at the end of it, which pissed me off because I couldn't sleep because I was too drunk.
Yeah.
Which Floyd did.
Did you not sleep at all?
No. So I was up for the whole time.
Drunk, dry mouth.
6 of those hours, I think I spent a minimum 6, probably 7 with Floyd of that flight. And it was great. The first 3 hours were great. It's fun to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Hearing
but
his
it
mental
just sounds like an
stories.
afters that then it's the moment when the sun starts coming through and you're like, this is...
Well, it was the whole thing because the pre's was the departure lounge and then the party was the 3 hours with Floyd and then the afters and the hangover was for the rest of the flight.
Yeah.
But that was Floyd. I kind of wanted to meet him in LA, but it's just not the time.
So how were you when you touched down in LAX?
Oh, I was in a bad way, kind of.
Because you're jet lagged and hungover.
Jet lagged and hungover was a tough
How long
tough
did it take
thing,
you to
yeah.
get over that?
Oh, I was fine the next day.
Okay.
Like I was kind of hungover the next day, but it was mostly jet lag because I woke up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So I was kind of up from 5 a.m. But
Yeah.
it wasn't too bad because I'd got it. I think I threw up on the plane, so that kind of sorted it out.
Yeah, lovely.
It's really great. But yeah, no, it was kind of fun the next day. The jet lag's been fine. It hasn't been too bad. I've been getting up. I got up at like 6:30, but now I'm getting up at like 8. So, it's all good.
So what's LA like as a city? Is it what you thought it would be like? The city of dreams.
Yeah,
City of angels.
it's not as because I think it's well known that I hate Florida. I think I've said that before on the podcast.
Have you?
Um,
Because I know
yeah.
you've been a couple of times.
Well, it's like it's an extension of Disneyland, really.
Yeah.
Because Florida's where they really are sickly sweet. It's like proper.
Yeah.
Like the customer service is horrible.
So you're ready for it
because
to be
it's
a
so
bit
nice.
like, well, it's like the worst side of America, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's just like being in this random diner in the middle of Florida where there's like nothing, and they're just the sweetest kind of hosts.
Yes,
Horrible,
sickly.
but I quite like the nice in LA. It's a bit nicer. It's not as it is. Obviously, there's fakeness chipped under everything, as is classically said. But they're actually just quite nice, I think.
So
I've
the
had some
classic thing that is all fake bullshit. You're like, it's actually quite a nice break from London, where everyone is
It
miserable.
is. It is. It's like there's a bit of sunshine and happiness. I'm like, oh, great. Things are okay. It is the sun, man. Coincidentally, it's been raining. It's raining now. But there's just sun all year round. There's no bloody seasons here. It's just summer.
Would you be able to do
that?
that?
Terrifies me. Maybe.
Because you don't feel the melancholy of 1,000 autumns when they come around.
I don't understand seasons anyway, so it's kind of my ideal place to live.
But you're not a huge summer guy either. I don't know.
I don't know. I am. I like summer. I find myself liking summer.
You don't like when it's too hot.
When it's too hot, it's too hot. That's true. But no, I like the vibe of summer, of going out and seeing friends and everything. But no, I think, well, it's just like everyone should be happy because it's always sunny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was one guy we went to a waiter yesterday, and it's when they go. I don't like waiters complimenting me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So who the fuck do you think you are?
Like, stop. And then
you go, Dad. Sorry. Stop.
Yeah. But no, I actually quite like. There's mostly very friendly or fun. It's so big. We accidentally climbed a mountain 2 days ago.
There's a lot. There's hiking. There's the canyons.
Yeah, and I was like, "Fuck it." You know, I'm not a hiking person.
No,
I don't get it. I don't even like walking at the best of times.
Sure. Yeah.
But we were going to go on this hike, and then suddenly it was like literally climbing, basically on all fours up this mountain. And then you look over it, and it's funny how the first thing you see, even when you touch down, is looking at the Uber and stuff, just like how square it is. Like they don't have any.
No.
It's all just grid roads, which speaks a lot to. I mean, it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it more? I guess you get places quicker.
No. Well, the problem with American cities is they were designed when the automobile lobby was super powerful and still is. So they've done it so that you can only get around them by car, and that means parking lots, which destroys a good city vibe. Which is why in Europe, when you got trams, bicycles, and stuff.
Yeah, true.
And then you look. I look. Obviously, I spend most of my time on Google Earth, so I obviously look from above. I've seen many American cities. And I'm looking at places like Austin, and you got all these blocks. You got a couple of skyscrapers, but a lot of them are just like huge parts are given to these parking lots that just sort of take over the entire centre of the city, and it just that's not good vibe. It means you can't walk properly anywhere.
No, you can't.
In New York, it seems to work.
Yeah,
because that makes sense. I mean, if you're starting a city from scratch, you would probably.
But they've got the subway in New York, whereas there's just no sniff of that here at all.
Yeah. So you've been Ubering a lot?
Yeah. I mean, the prices are fucking nuts.
Really?
They vary massively because if it's like late at night and there's not that much demand, it can be reasonably cheap. But we got this is an exaggeration. We got a 10-minute 10 minute Uber, and it cost $67.
Oh.
$67. Oh, 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67. 67 It was obscene.
That's a burner
It's
killer.
really it's an expensive city anyway. But we went out with some of Elle's friends and we got drinks. I got a round and I ordered like a double whiskey and two double whatevers. And they did. It was like I watched the guy. He got the double thing, poured that in, and then just did another. So it was a quadruple, which doesn't sound very America to me. It's very confusing.
What do you mean? Why isn't that America?
So
'Cause
that
I've
it
heard.
was a quadruple because they're not like massive drinkers. It's more of a,
No, well,
I guess they don't
this is the
because
thing. In America, so in the UK, there's all these units and measures laws. So it's actually really strict
because
about.
people abuse it.
Yeah, but yeah, so they measure it out. But in the
Yeah,
States, they eyeball it. So they're just like,
yeah. Well,
that's a
he had a
shot.
measure.
And then
He had a measure,
if
but
you
yeah,
tip or you have a good rapport with waiters, apparently is mainly for American
yeah,
podcasts, then they kind of give you more, give you extra. Because there's a whole
yeah,
like
yeah,
ritual to tipping. I don't understand. Like apparently the thing is you tip heavy on the first drink, and then they're
mm,
just friendly to you throughout. And there's a sort of so maybe
yeah,
but then the problem is I think they seem to show their gratitude by how much
yeah,
liquor they put in. But then I feel
yeah,
like that would often fuck the ratios, and it's not. It's like I'm not looking for
yeah,
more liquor necessarily.
yeah. No, I agree, and that was too much. We all
Yeah,
got absolutely steamed
and they
because it was
apparently
like
drink
a
more liquor than
full
beer
tumbler.
in states.
Maybe,
That's why they
yeah.
don't
They
look.
love
That's why they don't look as ugly.
they love us. Yeah, they're all pretty good looking. Well, it's just the sun,
Yeah, sun. Yeah, Australians
and
are British people in the sun. You know.
yeah, and well, it's quite because they all hike. So Elle has a theory that everyone in LA has a good bum because they climb up hills all the time, and I'm inclined to agree with that. But you
You
got
made
the
it sound
tan.
like it
You
was a
got
conspiracy.
it's a bit. It is weird how good they are, but it is just because of the walking, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and they're all just trying to. It's so funny walking It's so clear that almost every single waiter I've encountered is just like you're trying to be an actor.
Oh, of course.
Everyone's trying to be an actor, which is fun. Doing some modelling on the side, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just but you don't have as that. What's nice about what I'm saying, like London, is where like there's you go out if you want to go out, you know where to go. It's kind of and a lot of the time you can go for a meal and then if you're like in Soho, you go for a meal and then you can then go out. There's pubs everywhere, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But there's like clear hubs of where things happen.
So you're
Whereas
either
here,
eating or you're
just
drinking.
exactly. But like in all everywhere, it's like in London, you just have places that are just if you go there, you're going to have some good nightlife kind of thing. Whereas things can be hours away from each other here.
Yeah.
Like
Insane.
it's
It feels
but
like if you really know it and you do it properly, you can nail LA. But it seems like a very hard
just so
city to
big.
work out.
Yeah, and it's not like you need to go to this place at that night. It's like you go for a meal here and then you get in an Uber for 40 minutes that costs £1 million, and then you go to this club or something. It's all just road, really. There's no like buildings around like a kind of centralized circular stuff. It's all just straight
Are you
things.
desperately looking for the CBD?
That Kush.
No. It was actually. I was ready. That was the CBD.
What do you mean?
Remember in geography, the Central Business District?
I thought you meant CBD oil.
No.
Is that? I am desperately looking for the CBD. I did spot the CBD actually. When I was
saw
on
the
top of the
CBD?
mountain. I saw it. I haven't been there because it's just there was just one because it's quite a flat city, but there's one. Bit
Actually,
where
quite hard
there's
to miss the
still building.
CBD.
Exactly, it's easy to find.
So, do you think you could see yourself living out there?
I wouldn't hate it, but
Yeah.
I don't love it. You have to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's assumed.
I
that
don't.
you
I
drive.
quite. Yeah, I quite. When you find the places, it's great. Like Venice, we went to Venice Beach yesterday, which is great. The vibe on Venice Beach is cool. Just people playing b-ball and strange men trying to sell you reggae CDs.
Yeah.
It's good fun. And like the e-scooter life. I could live the e-scooter life, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's too spot. I way prefer London. Just because it's clear, you know what's up. You don't really know what's up. There's too much space here to know what's up.
Yeah.
But no, I like it though. It's nice, and the people are actually they're not as sickly sweet as I was expecting.
Sure.
But I haven't really met anyone not in the service industry. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
How have you done
So
with those friends? Did you put on good performances?
it was only it was Max who had already met. We
Oh,
went to
okay.
Glastonbury together.
Fine.
But I'm yet to meet the couple, which will be fun.
Mm.
But yeah, no, fine. Fine. I mean, I want to meet some because his girlfriend's from LA, so I'm looking forward to meeting some proper
Sure.
LA
Yeah.
people.
Back in the back in the UK,
Yeah,
obviously the news of Matt Hancock has been. A lot of people have been messaging in about Matt Hancock joining
yeah,
the cast of I'm a Celeb, and you know, I've gone through quite a few emotions when finding out about the Matt Hancock thing because I don't like the feeling that I'm starting to like the guy. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I think we've always quietly loved him.
Because
Let's be honest. I think everyone quietly adores him. Just
adores.
hates the things he does. Yeah, I think they hate. Everyone hates and should hate the things he has done, but you can't help but love the guy.
That's what I mean. Is when he was like during the COVID thing, he was just like any other Tory. When he was passionately getting with his aide, I was like, my boy. Then he goes on one of that podcast. I think with the geezer it wasn't on Diary of a CEO, was it?
I think it was.
I think it was Diary with
It was that guy.
With,
It was
high-waisted
Steve.
blue denim jeans and a turtleneck.
Oh, brilliant!
He's now promoting a book, and
Is he still with his wife?
I don't think so. I think he's with the aide.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know how
Matty
long that's going to
Hancock.
last. My boy's smashing. And then he's now doing I'm a Celeb and has got fired. So I don't know how this has worked.
Wait, he didn't get fired. Well,
he's been fired from being the whip. He's still an MP.
Yeah, because of I'm a
Yes.
Celeb. Yeah.
So
This has happened before. An MP did it before. And it is mental that any MP thinks who's currently an MP when Parliament is in session to go on
yeah.
I'm a Celebrity.
Well,
It is
we'll talk about
mental.
Jonathan Ross's Halloween party on the Patreon, but I will say Jess Phillips was there. And
Jess Phillips, is that the New Star Labour MP?
sort of, yeah. And I was thinking,
Let me see. Yeah, I see her everywhere now.
I don't know if you should be having too much fun, but I don't know what the rules are anymore. How much fun
There
should
are no
politicians
rules in
have? You know,
politics. Well, we've
should
always
stick to
actually
your
advocated
boring. Yeah,
we've actually advocated for politicians to be allowed to have fun.
yeah.
But
So it doesn't come out in sex crimes.
exactly. Because let Boris have a holiday and then he won't diddle children at this point. But no, I think because whenever there's a holiday thing, we're like, is it that deep? Like,
No.
let the guy go on
Let
holiday.
the geezer go on holiday. Yeah,
He's got a pretty tough job.
yeah.
But I'm a Celebrity. No, I don't think that qualifies as fun.
That's a holiday.
It's just not, is it? How much you get paid for I'm a Celeb?
I don't actually know. I think it's much more about what you can launch afterwards. So it really is exposure's the
Right.
main thing for sure.
Do you reckon he's just going on it so we can push through a policy through Parliament?
Yeah,
Is that what he's
I
trying
think-
to launch after? Mass reform of... I can't even think of anything.
No, it's really a strong suit. No, he's
Thinking
got
of anything.
he's got he's got a book coming out.
About what?
What's his? Is it
What's
my
the funny book
No, it's
title?
something about. It's about COVID. It's about.
Is it?
It's about
how he fucked it?
No, I think it's about the inside scoop of what it's like. So what's interesting?
Well, there's that.
Go on.
Quickly on that, there's that new Kenneth Branagh playing Boris Johnson. Mental. Just have a look at him in it. He looks like a wax figure of Boris Johnson. It's really unsettling.
Good.
Anyway,
In a good way.
well, it's what's his name? Winterbottom. Is that his name?
Yeah, Chili Bum.
Chili Bum, who, yeah. So it's kind of interesting, and his impression of Boris is pretty good.
You'd hope so.
But he looks like a wax figure when he does
I
it.
find it
Wait,
strange,
I mean,
Kenneth, that you chose a Texan accent for this. It feels like you probably should have. I feel that was a strange
Maybe
choice.
if you just didn't know who Boris Johnson was. But
My name's
I mean,
Boris
look it up.
Johnson.
I think look it up. It's actually kind of worth.
I've seen the pictures on the tube. I've seen those.
It's just his eyes don't sit right. It's awful work, as in the prosthetics or whatever.
Okay,
It's
so it's
mental.
not good.
No.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing because he was on his way to being just a regular career politician, and then there's been a lot of fuck-ups, loads of fuck-ups in the last 3 years in the Tory party. And I guess there's a feeling that people come back, like people who you thought were out come back, the revolving door. But clearly Matt Hancock thought his days are over because he wasn't even in the conversation for any of these roles.
Yeah.
So he got out with the aid thing. Considering all the crisis, that was him pretty much done. So this is a Hail Mary by Matt Hancock. And I'm fucking... It
is a Hail Mary.
You know, he is...
I'm intrigued.
He's heading towards Hall of Fame, Boys Gone Wild. That's what someone commented.
He really is.
And I think that's...
It's where we have to watch it. He can't go back to politics.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Can an MP go on I'm a Celebrity, stuff their mouth with donkey balls, Kango balls, and like run around and fall over and stuff, and then like rule the country? But he can't. It's a great Hail Mary, but I just wonder if he's actually lining up something outside of politics.
You know, so like in Italy, there's like Berlusconi was doing these bunga bunga parties, and you know was a kind of media personality as well as you know, Donald Trump.
His bunga bunga parties weren't for public consumption though. They weren't televised. And it was like
Berlusconi's...
We've had this conversation before
about his televised...
About Wait, go.
You go.
We've had this conversation before on the podcast about bunga bunga parties and I'm Celeb.
Really?
I think we had it last year.
Maybe you have
Did another politician go on? Anyway.
But I think because we're sliding towards a sort of a corrupt, you know, Mediterranean state. Sorry, we've got to be careful calling countries corrupt. We got into a bit of trouble.
We did.
To be fair, I should have been better on it because I did.
I asked the question.
You did ask the question, and I just sort of let it go when it was. We could have easily researched it, but we said, let's redact. We said that Nigeria was the most corrupt nation on earth, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then we got message that it's not even in the bottom 25 or something.
The bottom 25.
It's not even in the bottom 25. Well, the top 25.
Right. Yeah. No, that was wrong.
So apologise.
It still has problems with corruption, but it isn't the most corrupt country in the world.
That's South Sudan.
There it is. So that's that record corrected.
Corrected. Apologies. And yeah, it's fine if you have issues with art, you can message us because she messaged in a very nice tone of voice. Said she's a fan.
Yeah.
I will always respond well to that sort of stuff. It's if you're thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't message, read through the message you're about to send, and if it could be summed up in this sort of tone, then don't send it. I don't respond well when the tone of the message is so that's sort of my rule with correcting things on the show. Just don't but Matty Hancock, I just think, you know, he's I like that he's done a Hail Mary. He obviously doesn't think he has a career elsewhere.
What's his book called?
Let's find out. Matt Hancock.
Matt Hancock's the loaded gun of truth. Is it that?
Matt Hancock. But
well, I reckon it's that.
But he's still a serving MP.
I know.
So what does that mean? So Matt Hancock, Pandemic Diaries. The inside
Diaries.
Story of Britain's battle against COVID.
It's such an unoriginal name.
Look at that.
Oh my god, making him look he looks like he looks like the hero of the story. He's like a pretty significant villain.
Oh my god. But he sort of feels like because he fucked it and he was in the news, that's him having like a legacy. No, you were famously shit, Matt.
Yeah.
You weren't you weren't a divisive figure. Like I can understand someone like Boris Johnson, who they're still big fans of him, people who hate him. He's a divisive figure.
Yeah.
He can sort of afford to do stuff like that. Matt, you're universally disliked.
Yeah. I think
there's no one in the Hancock corner.
But that's what he's doing. I think he's dragging everyone down with him. So those diaries are going to be
explosive,
putting blame on other people. Other than
legend.
Him.
What a legend.
Matt Hancock is a funny spoonerism for his name because it goes into Hat Mancock.
That's good. I mean, that's what I would have called the book.
Hancock.
Hancock, the Pandemic
Well,
Diaries.
that I reckon no, it's better if he wanted to do a pen name, so he was anonymous, but chose Hancock, the Pandemic Diaries, so everyone clearly knew it was just him doing it.
There has been leaks from inside Downing Street. He calls himself Hancock.
Hancock. His identity has not been confirmed.
And it's a picture of Matt Hancock, but with one of those photo booth filters. The black and white,
Yeah, or like a moustache.
On a mancock.
Hancock. Oh, it's good. So, I went to the Comedy Store last night.
Yes.
It was great. It's such a cool venue anyway. Just to be there is iconic enough.
And you can buy a ticket and you can roam between rooms freely.
I don't know if that's true, because we didn't. It was a long show anyway, but we know. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Because we went in and we bought tickets to one show and we got ticketed in there. I think maybe you could. We didn't try because we stayed in the same room. But it was meant to be Mark Maron and Neil Brennan as like the big headliners. Mark wasn't there, so Theo Von played instead.
Oh fuck!
Yeah. And we were at the front pretty much. It's nuts because we weren't right at the front, but it's a great room. Obviously,
was it the main room, the belly room, or the
main room?
The main room.
The main room at the top. And it's literally because you have so you're naturally very close to the stage, but there's literally for the people at the right at the front, there's like a small table thing. So they're leaning on the table and they're on stage pretty much.
Yeah.
It was great. It was very good stuff. I can't remember everyone's names, there was a second guy who came on and there were 10-minute sets, but his opening joke just made me laugh for the whole 10 minutes.
Really?
I couldn't stop laughing at this joke.
Do you remember it at all?
Yeah, I'll do the joke, but he was he had like this Mohican kind of thing, but wasn't very well kept. And he looked like a backstage guy pretty much. And he just looked a little bit of a mess and he was a bit older. And he said that he'd been touring with musicians around and then sometimes opening for them doing comedy. And he said that the reaction is always, why is this roadie talking about his dick? And why does this roadie keep talking about his dick? And it just got me. I couldn't stop. But he didn't. He just said I'd be touring, and no one else really kind of got it as much.
Yeah.
But it just because I just picked, why is this roadie talking about his dick so much?
Did you get spoken to in the front row?
Annoyingly, no. We got the guy next to us did, and it was hilarious because he looked like Indian Tom Segura, but annoyingly no one could see because we were right at the front and no one could see his face. But that was fucking great. But
so the standard of all the acts pretty much was very high.
Well, yeah, the standard was the first guy who was just become a paid regular was iffy. He wasn't that good. And then from the why does this roadie keep talking about his dick joke, it then just kind of took off.
Yeah.
And then it was brilliant. Theo smashed it.
Yeah.
Like, he was unbelievable. He killed. And yeah, it just kept going up and up. The momentum built.
How long were you in
Neil
there
Brennan
for?
was...
Oh, sorry. Neil
probably,
Brennan,
probably an hour and 45, 2 hours. It was a long show.
And do they do breaks?
No.
That's what's weird. It just doesn't work the same in the UK shows. And
yeah.
do they have an MC?
An interval.
Or do they introduce each other on?
Introduce each other. And which kind of worked. I mean, the MC gives a bit more stability and consistency to the show.
Because that's what I thought. Because what I find interesting, I guess you just have to have a huge, guaranteed, loads of people and loads and loads of comics. Yeah. But it's the relentless comedy, and then you dip in and out of. Yeah,
but it really means that because there's no MC, it's really like it's like a new atmosphere every time one person comes up and the next comic comes up. It's very much cleansed, which is tough because they've got to come in with like a killer.
Yeah, so no one's there to reset the room or to basically clean up the shit emotionally.
And that was the problem.
So it's something you do, and you could be by your problem now. Whereas normally the MC can literally, it's like wearing in the new ball, what an MC does, which is like...
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so the opening wasn't great, but like not bad. And then it just took off and they were fucking brilliant. Definitely like the best comedy I've seen. And then Theo smashed it. He just had this. He was just big on stage. It was funny. He kind of. I laughed too loudly at one joke, and he made a comment about me because he said the joke was do you find that sometimes you have a nap just to stop you? Where do you sometimes find that you have a nap so you don't kill yourself?
Yeah.
And that just got me, and I laughed so loud, and he was like, I can't remember what he said, annoyingly, because I was quite drunk. But he said, "Oh, like someone's in. We've got someone in." I was like, "Oh, "That's me." It's also we were so close to him as well because he's obviously you're like making eye contact with him, which is great. But he was brilliant. Then Neil Brennan wasn't great.
Sure.
He was exactly what you said he was. Like, thinks he's really smart, but isn't actually that smart.
Yeah.
And he was all right. He was still getting laughs though. And then female comic came on. I can't remember her name. She was great. Boo! Get her off. There wasn't loads of crowd work. There was a bit, but and then this guy came on and just destroyed the show. It just lost all momentum. We'd been in there for a long time anyway, but the laughs are still going. And this guy came on and he was young.
Was this a Monday night?
Tuesday night. Yeah. He was quite young. He said he'd smoked. And he just didn't do any. I think he was just too high or something. But or if that was his shtick, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And the room went.
Yeah.
There was nothing. And then he introduced the next guy, and the next guy wasn't great, but he just had nothing to work with. It all just stopped. Just the room died. So we left after that guy because it was just getting a bit awkward. I think there was only.
Did you do anything else? Did you just go there and then leave and then do something else? I don't know what.
No, it was quite late. The show started at 9.
Okay.
So I think we left at like 11. But no, it was a great room and amazing comedians up until that one where it was funny just to see. It was the clearest momentum I've seen at a gig before throughout anything. Just
growing.
The awkward start and then this rush of like amazingness and just the laughs keeping coming and then just the stop. Like that's it. I don't think anyone could have got that back. It was completely dead. But it was great. Great room and good fun.
Right, we're going to move on to the Patreon now where we talk about Halloween. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.